All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another week of Super Sub Podcast, hosted by Harish and Narv. Podcast where two bros talk all things footy, drop takes hotter than a manager's seat after a 5-game slump. Um, or in this case, maybe Ange or Amarin, and discuss who deserves our prestigious award of Super Sub of the Week. It's football talk that feels like you're right here in the room with us. So lace up your boots as we get underway. As you can probably tell, my background is a little different today. I'm
I
at
like that background.
I'm downstairs in Narv's place. We try to figure out a way we can both get in the same room, but our external mic just wasn't great quality. So we're in separate rooms, same place though. We'll get it next time. Um,
It's
but
definitely a pleasure watching the final with you, though.
Yeah, I know you were kind of bummed with Inter's performance.
hmm
The game two, I just was hoping it would be a little more exciting, but uh,
Yeah, complete one side.
yeah. But we can jump into kind of our super sub of the week. So Narv, I let you take it here. So today's plan is just covering the 3 European games. And before we get started, props to Chelsea, champions of Europe. Um,
Shameless.
Champions of Europe, same number of trophies as Liverpool this year. Top 4 finish as well, just like Liverpool. Got some silverware, but yeah. So we'll cover the 3 different finals. Of course, we'll cover our boys, Chelsea. But yeah, we'll start with super sub from one of the finals. So pick any super sub.
um, I'll go with Kevin Danso from Tottenham for the Europa League final. Um, that one, Tottenham, once they got that goal in the first half, it seemed like they were kind of just sitting back and defending all game. And he kind of played it safe, kind of shifted away from his usual ways, brought in Danso, and I feel like some of our games, Harry Maguire has been our saving grace, kind of playing the striker role in desperation time, and I thought Danso had a few crucial blocks and clearances to kind of keep Tottenham alive to hold on.
That's a good show, especially the way they played set up after getting that goal. Second half, it was just they were just sitting back and defending for their lives. It's a good
Mhm.
shout. He's pretty good for Tottenham this year.
Yeah, and I saw transfer rumors. I'm sure we'll get to at the end, but he's one that I think they're trying to get on a permanent.
Mm. For me, my super sub would be Reece James. I thought he came in well. Just securing our back. Like Gusto definitely had probably one of his worst games I've ever seen. Even the goal that we gave up was because of Gusto, an error from him. And Real Betis in the first half, they probably could have had another um, goal, and just due to Gusto giving it away once, and then he also just was caught out of position. So he was subbed off right after halftime. Reece James came in and um, I thought he played well, like the way he can get into the midfield. Gusto was doing the same thing where they kind of invert, but Reece James, like he was secure with the ball. But more importantly, I think we were more secure defensively with him.
El Captain.
Oh,
Captino.
captain. Um, but yeah, I think we should probably start with the European champs. We'll start with that game, Chelsea, Real Betis, and then work our way up the different levels. So your Conference League champs in Europe, Chelsea. We first half we started off slow against Real Betis. They went up 1-0. Um, I know we talked about this game slightly, but Isco was kind of running that show in the first half. We looked pretty poor, but Enzo Maresco made some pretty crucial changes second half. Reece James, and then 60th minute he made a bunch of changes. Sancho was also surprisingly pretty good. But yeah, 65th minute, we got our equalizer. Enzo Fernandez just kind of gliding across the pitch and just sneaking in into the box, getting a header. And then after that, it was just we kind of dominated that second half of the game. But I guess what are your thoughts on maybe players that stuck out? Do you think it was a fair result?
Yeah, I think scoreline maybe not the fairest. I think Betis could have grabbed like another goal that first half. I know Cardosa. I think he could have scored that. Maybe he was put off by the challenge, but yeah, first half is kind of the East Coast show. And then second half, yeah, I think Chelsea really just caught life after the Enzo Fernandez goal, even though I'd say that's a little bit poor keeping. I don't think it was the like hardest of headers, like definitely savable, but um I think second half Cole Palmer kind of took the game into his own hands as well.
Yeah, Cole Palmer, he looked really good this game, and wasn't just kind of passing side to side, but even driving the ball. The cool thing was like he was kind of playing out wide at times. Like both his assists to Enzo and to Nicholas Jackson, they were both came from kind of the right side of the pitch, and we've been talking about how this year, I guess his performances dip, but it's because he's been coming playing at the 10 versus out wide. But again, it just shows like his quality, and when he is out wide, he gets like a little less attention. He can kind of work his magic.
Hmm. Yeah, I thought. Yeah, after that goal is kind of wrapped up. Even though I thought Betis could have had a chance after Jackson on that breakaway, that poor
Hmm.
touch. I was like, oh, maybe they're leaving it a
Yeah,
little bit for Betis. That could have came back to bite them, but now they just sealed the deal.
yeah. Another player I wanted to give a shout out to was Mark Cucurella. The two players I was most concerned about with Betis was obviously Isco and Anthony. Just uh, their form, I guess, past few months. But Cucurella, Anthony was pretty quiet most of the game. But again, Cucurella just defended really well. But against all the top wingers this year that he's kind of faced, I remember Saka. I guess Saka went off kind of midway though with an injury, but Saka was shut down. Salah was shut down. I guess even at United, Amad Diallo, like he was in pretty good form, but
Mhm.
Cucurella kind of shut him down. So respect to him.
Yeah, ever since the Euros, just the momentum just translated into the league and then the journey to the Conference League too.
Hmm. But other than that, nothing really stood out too much for me from this game. It felt pretty. I was a little nervous for sure in that first half,
Uh
especially how
huh.
dominant Betis were, and I thought maybe we're coming off the high from our win against Nottingham, just when we secured the top four and going back to the Champions League. I was like, maybe uh, guys maybe celebrated too much, or they're not as
Hmm.
focused. But second half, we completely turned that around.
Yeah, I think for you, like, and Chelsea fans, definitely a um enjoyable game, especially the second half. But for a neutral point of view, it's always like a disappointing one when it's so one sided.
Hmm. But let's jump into the Europa League final. We talked about this one about a month ago, but Spurs versus United. It was unfortunately I didn't think it was as entertaining as people would have expected, um, because Tottenham grabbed a goal. What, like maybe 5 minutes before half,
Hmm.
and it was kind of a lucky goal. It was a very United type of goal to concede. Um, but I think that was their only shot on target the entire game, and it wasn't even. It was like a deflection off Shaw, I think.
Was that their only shot in general?
No, they
No,
had a
it couldn't be.
yeah, they had
Okay.
a couple shots. Let me see.
Okay.
Yeah, so they had 3 shots the entire game. Uh, and that was the only one on target. Yep. So, again, Spurs, as you mentioned, they just kinda sat back after scoring, and United just I don't know, they just didn't they had a lot of shots and created a lot of opportunities, but they just were not clinical, and they looked like they were just out of ideas.
Yeah, and this was a frustrating watch. I think for United fans and neutrals, it was very scrappy type game, sloppy. I think it kind of explains why they're in the position they are, both of them in the Premier League. Um, and it was just also unfortunate. I was telling you this. I think was one of Bruno's worst games. It gave me flashbacks to Neymar's Champions League final performance at PSG, like where he carried them, and then literally the final he dropped a stinker, just trying to do too much that didn't come off. That's what it felt like for Bruno this game. Um, but again, to your point, like I think we did create chances, but the chances we were trying to create, it's a little frustrating that it's trying to get crosses into Harry Maguire. Like we were playing almost desperation mode, like starting early second half, which was kind of the annoying part.
And Vicario, he had a few kind of sus moments, but um, I thought he did a good job claiming a lot of those crosses, and that's one of his weak points, coming out off his line. But he was pretty aggressive in that term.
Yeah, he had a really good game. I'd say Christian Romero. I think he ended up getting man of the match, but
Hmm.
he was handling Harry Maguire very well too. Um, I think the only clear like the Van de Ven clearance. I don't think it was like as crazy as people were trying to make it out to be. But yeah, that was like one of the real opportunities we had all game.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think it was like crazy, but it was still like probably one of the best chances you guys had.
Exactly. But this was also in the game where like uh Diallo or Ahmad couldn't really get into the game. Um, Mason Mount had a horror show. Uh, and I think as much as the blame is to be on the players too, I think Amram has to take a little blame for leave. I think he left the subs a little too late. Like Garnacho, he hasn't lit up the world, but I mean Europa League wise, he's kind of been like the starter. Had some good moments, and I don't know, only giving him like 15, 20 minutes. I thought
Hmm.
could have came in earlier.
Yeah, and even if Garnacho, hasn't been in form, at least he can he can come on and like bring in a different type of style, maybe create a chance. 'Cause y'all were really struggling. But I don't know. Yeah, Amarin, like he did. I mean, if you look at his bench, it's just kind of weak though. Like none of these players have really stepped up when they needed to. So like, who do you call on? I guess. Like, do you just make changes for the heck of it? To change something? I
Hmm.
guess. But yeah, most of my blame goes to the United players. Bruno had a poor game, but like it's unfair to blame his effort. That wasn't the case. It's more just he was trying to do too much.
Hmm.
Um, but I feel for the fans, dude, because like I don't know, it just United just seemed kind of like in coast mode. Like you didn't feel like that desire, I guess.
Yeah.
They were just kind of lumping and they were just kind of hoping, I guess, that they score a goal and come away with uh, a win. It was more like hoping. It wasn't more like that, like desire and effort, I guess.
Yeah. That's a good point. And I think also it's like in hindsight, I think Bruno struggled this game. It was a combination of doing too much and then also the way Tottenham was set up. I know they were missing Madison and Kulusevski, which is a big loss in terms of creativity on Tottenham's end. But at the same time, I think Bruno he struggles when a midfield is like pure like athletes and dogs. Like that's why we always struggle versus Newcastle and Villa. I feel like is their midfield are like pure athletes. Where Bruno really thrives when there's like more chaos and not much structure to like the midfield opponents.
Yeah, in hindsight, that's a good point because going into the game, I thought this was going to be long days for Spurs. Just because of that midfield, they didn't really have any creativity at all. They were all defensive minded, and I guess maybe Sar is your best player, but even him, like in the midfield creatively, but he's more of a box to box guy, effort
Mm-hmm.
type athlete, like you said. But they got the goal, and then after that, it was just they were able to shut down Bruno.
Yeah, it was a weird one because I know after the game I was quite upset,
Mhm.
um, but it's a weird one because I think we were doing it this like early days when I said when Amarin came, I was like, I hope we get knocked out of the Europa League just so we can focus solely on Premier League and he can kind of have like so many training sessions to kind of implement his style so we don't like get embarrassed in these like Europa League games. But then, I mean, ultimately, and then I also thought like for next year, just not being in any tournaments, um, like having players fit for every match to really suit his style and stuff. Um, so in hindsight, like, yeah, I guess I got that part, but at the same time, it's like once we reach the final, it's like, you want to like come away with the
Mhm.
trophy. Um, so it was like a hard one. Like it's like I don't know how to feel after this one. Um, but yeah, that was upsetting.
And I guess even at Sporting, he after his first like when he came on and like before his first like full season, he let go of what 15 players in that squad,
Yeah.
and then he made like a full overhaul. And after that, I think he signed the players he wanted, and then what they I think they went undefeated in the league, right? And they ended up
Hmm.
winning the league. Do you think he takes a similar strategy here? Just acts a bunch of players. I know there's guys like Ericsson's going to be out of a contract.
Yeah,
Your center
Lindelof's
back
out.
Lindelof,
Evans. Yeah.
Evans retired, right? So
Hmm.
do you
Yeah,
foresee like more players getting cut, kind of like he
I
did at
th-
Sporting?
I think so. Um, Especially because the Europa League would have definitely, obviously, given a huge boost in terms of financial spending. Whereas now, I think we'll be forced to get the players he wants. We'll be forced to sell some of the players we already have. Because I think he'll definitely need some positions to strengthen up on.
Hmm.
But then again, it's like some of these players are quite poor, so I don't know what their value is going to go into the market. Like how much we can get.
It's unfortunate. As a finalist, you guys earned. I was reading 5.5 mil, and 3.5 million is coming to us. Thank you very much. Um, it was
Wait.
because of Mason Mount. There was a clause where if he reaches the final and plays, we get 3.5 mil. So y'all got two, and we got 3.5.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, undercover agent. Well, I can't blame Amarin for starting Mount though, because Mount when he did have his cameos, uh, like it's a hard one. Like as a manager, like hindsight, yeah, he had
Mhm.
a terrible game, but he had good cameos, especially in the Bilbao matches.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I think he definitely deserved that start. Um,
just maybe not the amount of time he got to play, but yeah, the start I think was deserved.
and then I
Um,
think the big question now is on the flip side. Going into next season, do you think Ange will be the manager of Tottenham?
oh yeah, they're gonna build a statue of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's he's going down as a legend for Tottenham. Bringing a trophy, like a major trophy, not none of those like Mickey Mouse Carabaos after 17 years. Um,
So you think even if they were like one spot away from being relegated, and I mean, let's be honest, like winning the league, you have to be, or like doing really well in the league, you have to be consistent. Um, Tottenham were pretty low in the standings, and they
mhm,
could have been relegated. Obviously, they weren't close to
mhm,
it, but like in terms of standings, and before this game, it was all Anjou, Anjou, Anjou from Spurs fans. So do you think this one game has saved him, or is it still Ange out?
I think it's just giving them more time. Like if they have like a terrible start to the Premier League, I think they'll give them time till at least like the winter transfer to make the decision if they're like on a slump. But it definitely saves them like a lot of time.
Hmm. Yeah, I think Ange is. Uh, I was just kind of playing devil's advocate, but I also think he will stay, and deserves to stay. I think he's really improved the Spurs side. I mean, even look at the number of goals they've scored. Uh, they scored 3 more goals than Arsenal this year, which is unbelievable. It's just they were one of the highest teams to drop points from winning positions, and it's just because they don't, I guess, they haven't learned to kind of see games out. And I think Andrew will probably just come with time. I know he just loves to play free flowing games.
And they had their best center back pairing injured like a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Even attackers, I mean, he had them. They were all
mhm.
injured, but even the signings he's made, they've been really good. Um, Kind of out of nowhere too, and like for good prices. So I feel like I would trust him if I was a Spurs fan.
Yeah, I think so. Because I think like Ange probably makes the decisions on the transfers, right? It's not like
Mhm.
just a board. So I feel like they have faith in his transfers because I mean they've all, to your point, they've been doing well. Um, and also another crazy stat from this one is just Christian Romero. When it comes to finals, he's 5 out of 5 now.
Oh, geez, yeah, including it with international.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So that will be a player which will be crucial for Tottenham to keep because I know there's rumors of him going to Atletico, but I think he's going to be a crucial piece for Ange.
yeah, they definitely need to sign a center back though in the off season.
Hmm.
Danso is good, but just like another backup.
Yeah. Um, and then United. Oh my God, we have so much drama already. So I don't know if you saw the whole Garnacho debacle.
Afterward, yep.
Um, First of all, his brother, he needs to relax. He irks me. His non-profile pic Twitter merchant, um, liking a tweet that was like bashing Amarin, um, and then Garnacho tweeting that whole thing or the interview he gave.
Hmm.
It was a little. The wording of it was like a little selfish. Like, yeah, I agree, you should have got more playing time, but I feel like it's the wrong time to say it. Um, and then during the preseason, we're in a preseason tour in Asia, and they're interviewing Amarin and Diallo, or sorry, Ahmad. Um, and the reporter asked Ahmad, they're like, I know you're really close friends with Garnacho. What do you think about his situation? And like right when they asked that question, like as Ahmad was answering, Amarin was just like bursting out laughing. Because like
Mm.
I think he knows deep down because he's already told Garnacho like find a new club. Um, and then I know it's preseason, but like when we're in the mud, we got to take it serious. Even if it's like Asia All Stars we're playing, like we got to get team clicking already. And like some of the behavior we're displaying, like just unbelievable. Like Xerxes, bro, you going out at like 4 a.m. because first of all, why are you up at 4 a.m.? And then claiming that the hotel room service food is like bad. So then you go make your walk over to a Thai restaurant at like 2 in the morning or something. I'm like, what are you doing? And then like Ahmad, Aiden Heaven, and Garnacho going on these electrical scooters at like 3 in the morning around the city, like before the match. I'm like,
Yeah, didn't they get like the like just random people on the streets to pay for their scooters?
yeah, because they couldn't figure out how
Yeah.
to get the scooter. Yeah, I was like, what are y'all doing? Ended up losing. I know it's preseason, but like still.
Y'all had
Play,
some of your starters in that first half,
mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's just wild debacle start already.
and then y'all made a crazy comeback against Hong Kong, some Hong Kong team.
Uh-huh. And then these these fans, like, obviously, like, globally United are so big, so like you get a lot of support, and the fans are like recording players, and for some reason, like Garnacho, Ahmad, and like some other players like flicking off these fans. I'm like, what are y'all doing? Like,
Well,
yeah.
supposedly Diallo was saying one of the fans was talking trash about his mom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'll give them pass then.
supposedly.
Okay. But still, it's just like being in this news like media during preseason, like it's just crazy.
Yeah, I think Garnacho, specifically him, I really hope he goes to Napoli. I know Conte is a fan of his game, and I think that's one coach, and even the Serie A, I think where he can uh, really be humbled, and I think Conte can really because Conte is such a good like just not tactically but man manager as well. Like he improves every player. I mean, look at McTominay, Lukaku, what he's done there. Um, and I think he can do the same with Garnacho with his discipline and Garnacho like thinks he's like Ronaldo, like CR7 type levels. Like it's all about him, but I think Conte can come in and kind of really humble him and like kind of guide him the right way.
Yeah. And there's reports of like him going for 60 mil, which I mean, at this point, I love Garnacho, but I mean, 60 mil for not even a finished product. I mean, I'll take that all day. Because we need the funds bad, anyways.
Yeah, and you just can't have like a cancer in the locker room either, and he's kind of
Exactly.
turning out to be like that at United.
Unfortunately, yeah.
But yeah, speaking of Conte, did we ever cover like how Serie A ended?
No, I don't think
Oh,
so.
okay,
We didn't cover like the final, that final match week.
gotcha. I think that's the only one to really touch on.
Mhm.
But yeah, Napoli ended up winning the league. They won. Inter ended up winning too, but just behind on points. But Conte, he's staying. It seems like contracts
That's
are
that's a
being
first.
agreed. Dude, for real. I thought he was gonna leave just with his demands, but Napoli are desperate in terms of keeping him. But I think this just adds to his resume, and like I've always said, he's in my eyes the goat. Um, but just wanted to read some stats like for listeners who don't know much about him. So he won the league with Chelsea, and these are all teams that were, they're big names, but they were really struggling before he came in. Came in with Chelsea, who were struggling, won the league. Juventus, he came in, they were struggling. He won an undefeated season with 100 points, insane. He won it with Inter, and even Napoli now. And I think impressively, like that kind of gets underlooked is what he did with Spurs. He got sacked when he finished top four with Spurs and they got into the Champions League out of nowhere. And I think the sacking was probably just due to that interview where he was like, I mean, this is Conte. He has no filter, but just like how he's talking about the cracks he saw in the club, and it starts with not just the players, but like the ownership. Um,
Hiya, hiya. Classic.
Unacceptable.
No, that was wild.
uh,
And this was a Napoli team where he lost Vicha midseason.
exactly. Huge.
No Osimhen. The whole locker room vibes, like at the end of the last season, was just terrible. I got to put my hands up because I was like, Napoli were kind of in a mess. Come that end of the season.
hmm And I think I had them winning the league just because the players that they bought. I knew Conte would get the best of them, and I mean at United we saw how good McTominay is, but his game really got elevated. Like playing at United, he played kind of a little defensive box to box, but like he played like a really advanced role
Hmm.
in Napoli.
Yeah, that final match, scoring like basically an overhead kick too was. I was like, oh man, Player of the Year for Serie A.
Dude, his striking ability is insane.
Hmm. Yeah, he grew up as a striker and then got
Mm.
dropped to like the midfield role. But yeah, we never used him in his strongest point. I don't know because we saw him as like a big like physical presence. We just threw him as like a defensive mid at times.
hmm
It's not really his game, but yeah, props to Conte.
Yeah, and even I know you liked Billing at Bournemouth at times, and
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
he never like made an appearance for Bournemouth, and people were like, "Why is he getting something?" But like he was like an impact player off the bench for Napoli, and then I was impressed with what he's done with Lukaku because I remember at Chelsea he really wanted Lukaku to come over, but we could never get him. Um, but everyone saw him as a washed forward, but he's performed well.
Hmm.
Uh, but speaking of Conte, just like in the context of like United too, um, I think this was before Ten Hag's hiring. Before we started a pod, when we talked about like who should United get, this was like exactly the reason why I think y'all should have gotten Conte, um, because yeah, he's like demanding, I guess, and uh, like calls out ownerships and stuff like that, and he may not stay for long because he's so demanding, but um, he just changes the culture like at every single club, like, and he's like at the granular level, like he even looks at like what people are eating and like their diet and like things that aren't allowed in the kitchen. So I feel like a manager like that who's proven himself at every single club, you just like back him and he can like completely transform your club. It's like the opposite of Ten
Yeah.
Hag. Like he had no backbone.
Yeah, I think with a lot of United fans, including myself, is like we were so attached to Sir Alex, like he was almost like our own father. Like we want that type of manager who like just that Cinderella story again, where just a long term manager that we can kind of get behind and stays with the club like forever.
Yeah, but we'll see. Uh, how Amarin can kind of bounce back next year. I think this transfer window will be huge. So, do you?
I still have faith. I still have full faith.
You haven't seen
Um,
some United fans saying Amarin out already,
I think that's crazy talk.
dude. I feel
Yeah,
like he just got in.
yeah, he got us to like um 17th or not so 15th in the league, but he stuck by his word. We saw like he has a vision of how he wants to play. It's just a matter of getting the players he needs. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be kind of tricky because if you completely back him in the offseason, um, but decide to fire him if things get started off kind of slow, it's gonna be horrendous scenes because the types of players he wants is so specific to him that you
Hmm.
can't just bring in another manager and like they'll be able to just use those types of players for.
Yeah, I'm saying this now. If we sack him next year, I'm not watching us anymore for this season. Like
Mm,
no jokes, because I think it's getting kind of tiring. Where it's like the same. It's like a deja vu. Like can't keep rinsing out the manager. I mean, at some point, players got to look themselves, and they're just not fit for the club. Like some of these players, um, I think you got to put the manager before the players at times.
all right, one last question about United and we'll move on. Maybe this would be better for later and I'll probably revisit it, but this past year you talked about Aiden Heaven before people kind of started talking about him. Who this coming year, because we know Amarin loves his youngsters. Uh, that sounded wrong. He loves giving young players a chance, and he can
Uh-huh.
identify talent. Who do you think is going to burst into the scenes this coming year?
I think I said it when we had our injury crisis a bit, but I think it's going to be a midfielder, Sekou Kone. I think he's going to. I don't know because I feel like he might get loaned just to get more experience, but I think he'll get more. He should get more playing time because I think he will fizzle out Casemiro. He's a very Yaya Toure slash Baliba type vibe of a player.
Mm. And did he come from United Academy or was he from Arsenal Academy?
No, he played in some club in Mali, and then we snatched him from that academy um, to ours. But he came in like a month before Cheeto, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I remember it was similar time, so I assumed it was from Arsenal too, but okay. Well, Kone, we'll keep an eye out for him. Keep him on the radar. I did watch some of his clips, so
Yeah.
uh, we'll move on to Champions League game here. I don't want to spend too much time. It was kind of a disappointing game,
Underwhelming.
but PSG clapping just 5-0. So
Well, one of them
uh,
was unlucky, the deflection.
yeah, but
And
even
the
aside
fifth
from that
one,
though, like
yeah.
they probably see where I was worried was PSG were wasting a ton of chances. It should have been 10 goals and they wasted a lot. And I was worried that Inter would get back in. Um, Inter were pretty bad. They were just dog poo poo the entire game.
I don't know what they did in their training sessions to prepare.
They they looked poor. I guess what went wrong for Inter? Give me, I guess, players that played poorly, or did Inzaghi get a tactic wrong, um, or maybe PSG? What players that stood out, or tactics that worked?
Um, I think Inter Barella had a poor game. Midfield in general poor. Mkhitaryan, I didn't even know he was on the field. Um, it was just I don't think it was anything really with tactics. I think it was more so PSG were just so good, and yeah, I'm really curious on how they prepared during the training session because we know their front three is deadly, and I think it was just interchanging of their front three was just causing so much chaos, confusion. Cherby just looked lost, didn't know who to pick up, who to mark. Um, we would see, yeah, like Vicha started off as left wing, come all the way to the right. Um, Dembele was playing like right back at time, like where he was picking up the ball. I know Desiree Doué kind of gets on the stat sheet for a lot of the goal involvement, say, but I think that man Dembele again, impact player.
Very Esquela too. I don't think he got a goal, but he
Oh,
was
he got that goal where he's
oh
like barely.
the fourth one, right? I think.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, PSG were just so dominant.
Yeah, I think to your point, completely agree. I was just nodding my head because it was just like reading my mind. But I think when looking at this PSG team coming into the game, there's just so many similarities with Barca. So I was trying to think, like how did the Barca Inter games play out? Uh, and then I was expecting, something similar. And then I was thinking, like, PSG also great on the counter. They have terrific forwards and wingers, and they're also high press teams. But I think the biggest difference between PSG and Barca is um, just the way that the forwards kind of interchange. And to your point, Inter defenders just were losing track of their men today. Whereas like with Barca, Rafinha always kind of stays out, hugs the left side, Lamine Yamal on the right side, and it's kind of easy for Inter. I mean, Inter still struggled defending Lamine, but that's just because he's like a world class player. But it was easier for them to like stay organized, I guess, and it was just a matter of beating the man one on one. But like today, they were just losing track of their guys. Um, and I think also what PSG do better than Barca, so that's one. Two is the high press. Barca do it too, but PSG just it's like a different level of high press, and Inter were just forced to thump it long.
Yeah, it was just long balls all game. Um, couldn't string any passes together really.
Yeah, Laturo and Thuram were getting you could tell visibly frustrated.
Hmm.
Um, and then
And I think, go ahead. Sorry.
and then the third point too is just like I don't know with the midfield if it was just a bad game, but Barca and PSG, even though they're so good on the counter, I think both those teams are really good at like controlling the game in terms of possession, and they have incredible passers, uh, Vitinha, Neves, and then Pedri and De Jong. But I think it might have just been a bad game from Inter's midfield because PSG just were controlling the game with so much ease. So I mean,
And Fabian Ruiz, got to give him
oh yeah,
shouts.
Fabian Ruiz too. So I think maybe it was just a poor game from Inter's midfield, like you were saying. Uh, they just made it so easy for PSG, but yeah, PSG hats off to them. I think just the way Luis Enrique gives freedom to their forwards.
Hmm. I think Barca. I say PSG's midfield is slightly better than Barca. Because I think Barca rely more so like solely on Pedri. Like I think Pedri is the best midfielder out of any PSG's midfielders, but as a unit, PSG midfielders are better. Um, but I think you already mentioned Barca play like such a high line; it kills them at times.
Mhm.
But I think one other point is we saw that semifinal matchup between Inter and Barca. Denzel Dumfries, his impact was crazy. Like he's a pure athlete. Whereas I think in this one, just a matchup, like he was kind of matched up against another athlete in Nuno Mendes and Hakimi on the other side, also who's a pure athlete. Hakimi can get lost at times, like positioning wise, but I thought he had a really good game today too. Whereas I think Barca, they don't. I think Balde was out, so they were kind of missing that.
Yeah, that's a good point. The wingbacks. I think it's a little unfair for Barca, I guess, because they were missing Balde and they were also missing Kunde.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really good point.
Yeah, because I thought Demarco and Dumfries were both slightly quiet today.
Yeah, pretty disappointing game from Inter's standpoint, but PSG.
Disappointing end to the season for Inter, man. Out of the tournament to a weak like AC Milan in the Coppa Italia. Um, ended up losing the Serie A, and then Champions League, just embarrassment. I haven't I can't recall like a such a one sided Champions League final in a while. I know I was telling you like the Liverpool Real Madrid one felt one sided, but that was towards the end. I think the United versus Barca back in 2011 was a bit one
Yeah.
sided as well, but not to this extent.
No.
Uh,
I don't really have anything else from this game. I'll be honest. I don't know what
yeah,
else to speak on it.
props to Dembele. That one goal, I think it was the third one, the back heel to Ventinha, and just like it's like little things like those that Dembele does, which don't get on the stat sheet, but like just shows what level he's on this year. Um, and then also props to the PSG fans. At the end, that was like kind of chilling. They had the tifo of Luis Enrique and his like late daughter
Mm.
from the Barca day.
Yeah, and it was like a picture of him like planting the flag, right, with his daughter,
Mm-hmm.
but in like a PSG shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
chills. I am happy for that man though, Luis Enrique, and people were questioning him, for like the Mbappe and stuff, but he had a plan. He knew what he wanted from his players, the type of players he wanted.
Yeah, I think he was more than happy to let Mbappe go out the door. Um, yeah, so congrats to PSG because this has been a long time coming. I know they win the league every year, but like for them, success is really. I mean, I think it's Champions League how well they do. Um, so it's been a long time coming. It's a project they've been kind of working on. They went the got the Mbappe superstar that didn't work out. They did the bring in the like all the superstars together and Neymar and Messi that didn't work and get rid of the superstar and now it's yeah.
And then also with PSG, I think what was I gonna say? I forgot my point. We'll see if it comes back. Oh yeah, now that the season's over and PSG kind of won the league, do you think Salah still stands in the running for Ballon d'Or?
I think he has a better chance of it. I think if Dembele grabbed like the goal or two today, it could have actually gone to Dembele.
Hmm. I think low key, Esquela has a good shout too.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like I was questioning that transfer. I was like, this is PSG getting kind of greedy, but yeah, that was worth it, man.
And he won 2 leagues this year, Serie A and Liga.
Technicality, yeah.
Yeah. Whereas
Uh,
and Anthony lost Europa League and Conference League.
dude, that'd been epic. Um, yeah, but now it's scary hours, dude. Because PSG, this is a young team.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
Marquinhos is probably the oldest. They gotta get rid of him. He's like the one. Even though he's pretty solid today, he's always the one that has a mistake in him. He's
Yeah,
probably the oldest.
they need a center back pretty bad. Um, but other than that, can't think of another position they need to fill.
Mm-mm. Yeah, I can't either.
And with Inter, kind of where in the team do you think they need some improvement?
That's funny because Inter's probably the opposite end of the spectrum, where it's like all the old heads. Uh, I don't know, because Inzaghi's like built this like I don't know. He has a little bit of not scrubs, but it's just old heads in there. Hate to say it, but Bruno Fernandes in this squad would be crazy. I know Bruno loves United, but with us like not having funds, Bruno, I think he's worth like up to 100 mil player.
Oh yeah.
Um, and I think like he would elevate this team like crazy. I think they definitely need like some creativity in the midfield.
Mhm. Agreed. At least some legs too. Some creative legs. And then I think low key, I think they need another defender, like a center back.
Yeah, central center back more so. Like
Mhm.
Chervi's,
No.
you could tell he was old today. He looked like
Yeah.
an old man out there.
Yeah, he was struggling.
I feel bad for Summer. It's one of those where like he didn't necessarily have a bad game or make mistakes. It was just
Yeah.
apart from the third goal, could have been saved, but
Nah, near post height, bro. Um, but yeah, congrats to PSG. Uh, and props to both of us for having these two teams in the finals. Like
Mhm.
picking them way early on. Um, but before we kind of end this episode, let's quickly touch on. I know we're pushing up on the hour mark, but um, let's touch on some like maybe transfer news. And I know there's been coaching changes as well. Um, so I'll start with Chelsea, and we're getting Delap. I think
Greedy.
30 mil release clause, so for nothing. So that's going to be really nice with Jackson and Delap. We needed someone else, and I think Mark Gay is going to. I think he's going to Ipswich on a
Mark
loan.
Gahey?
Yeah,
Oh wow. No, wait, Mark Gahey?
or Mark Gui, or however you say our current striker. Yeah.
I was thinking of the Palace Center.
No, 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 no.
I was tripping. Okay.
So, I do still like Nicholas Jackson, and he's made huge steps forward. Still young, so it's gonna be a nice battle between him and Delap.
And y'all are greedy, man, because I saw you guys are still potentially after Hugo Ekitike, and he's gonna Frankfurt are demanding 100 mil minimum for
Mm,
him.
yeah, I think we're good on the striker role, but we'll see what Todd Bowley does. He's a finesser, dude. We got 2 mil from the or 3.5 mil from Europa League. Hi.
And y'all are getting those two Brazilians.
Oh,
Man,
dude, it's Willian Estambo. He's next Neymar.
yeah,
And then we might be getting hopefully get Modric back here soon. We'll be set.
drug addict. Yeah. And that Andre Santos from Strasbourg. He's one
Yeah.
player I really want to see fit in. Y'all's midfield already like kind of stacked, but I think he could kind of outplace Enzo Fernandez low key.
Nah, Enzo's been playing well this year, dude. Second half of this year.
I like Santos. He's nice.
Yeah.
Y'all better upgrade on that goalkeeper spot.
Yeah, I think that's the one role we need to work on. And then just figure out our center back pairing too.
I saw Wesley Fofana's Gonzo.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Okay.
That man just can't stay healthy, man.
Yeah. What other transfer rumors? You want to touch on United's real quick, or you got more for Chelsea?
For Chelsea, no, it's kind of all I have for Chelsea.
Um, oh, and then sorry, I also saw Trevor Chalobah might be leaving again.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with
Y'all need
that.
to keep him. Yeah, he's a good
He's
utility player.
versatile. Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. So United, also Chelsea. Props to them. I always say they always go about their business, get it done. There's never those transfer like rumors or anything. It's literally just here we go, deal finalized. So props to you guys for that. United, so we got Cunha, and Cunha said, I don't care if we're in Champions League or not. I want United. That's the type of player we need. Someone who has a little nastiness to his game. Um, and then we're after Brian and Buemo as well. Um, and I think Tyler Dibling is still on the radar. And then striker. We need a striker, but I don't know. We're not linked to any strikers. I don't know why. I think Victor Osimhen, we got splurge on him. I don't care how much money.
And Gorkaris too. He'll be leaving, and he's gonna be a lot cheaper than I thought. He's only gonna be 60 mil.
I was looking back at some of his statistics, and I know it's not all stats, but like since I don't watch the Portuguese league too much, but like a lot of his goals came from like penalties.
Yeah, but do you
Um,
see like his build up too? Like
link up,
his
yeah.
link up play and like the strength and pace he has. It's
Hmm.
crazy. He does get a lot of penalties, but I mean, look at Holland. He gets a lot of penalties.
True. Um, and then just the one. This one will literally kill me if it happens. Is if Bruno leaves, but I know he's had talks with Al Hilal, who they literally Al Hilal basically just said, "Name your price for Bruno, and we'll pay it." Um, so although that will literally generate so much money for us, but I do not want to see him go.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it. I think Embuemo, I don't know. I like we're going after these Premier League proven players, um, and not these high profile names either. So I feel like he'd be a pretty good fit for us in that 10 role.
Yeah, you guys definitely need a striker though. And I
Yeah,
think like Amarin's like he's got a style of a striker he likes. He likes like the big body, pacey. So yeah, Osimhen, Gorkaris, I know Sesko's being linked to Arsenal.
hmm
for
He's a little too expensive.
yeah, well, he's like 100 mil or something at for Arsenal.
Minimum, yeah.
Yeah, that's a little overpriced. I don't know if I would give that up.
Yeah, I know I was always on his hype train because I was his one of his managers at Leipzig, or sorry, Red Bull was like, um, he'll be like better than Holland. This was like a few years ago, but like he's never like lived up to that hype. I feel like he's just he's still like raw a bit.
And speaking of Arsenal, and I guess Chelsea too, I didn't realize we were kind of linked to them till you mentioned is Rodrigo.
Oh, that's
There's
right.
talks he's going to be leaving Madrid, but like 100 mil, like I don't know, with especially with our wingers, we're pretty. We have a lot of wingers, and then we're gonna have additional midfielders. May push out Cole Palmer to the right side. Probably not, but I'm just kind of hoping to speak it into existence. Uh, so I hope it's 100 mil. I mean, but he's world class. So, but that's a pretty big name too that I think Arsenal is trying to go after. He would fit in really well, especially on that left side. Huge upgrade.
I think Chelsea, y'all could realistically get him if you guys offload. Like, I know Madueke, I think he could go for like 50 mil somewhere. And then if you just offload like a few other like people you don't need, I feel
Dewsbury
like,
Hall, something like that.
yeah,
Do
yeah.
yeah, we're like elite at flipping players too.
Hmm.
We can probably flip Dewsbury Hall for a nice profit.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I was just looking to literally just 2 hours ago. A defender that we're trying to target is Everton center back. He was linked.
Branthwaite?
Yep, for 50 mil. So
Oof.
I would take that hefty price tag though.
Speaking of defenders, looks like Liverpool got their replacement of Trent and Jeremy Frimpong.
Mm-hmm. It,
Um,
and I think our Liverpool. I know they're upset about not getting any money for Trent, but Madrid, petty Madrid, they ended up paying Liverpool 10 mil to get Trent early, so he can play in the like Club World Cup.
oh, for real?
Yeah, but still,
Yeah, the
it's like
only
nothing.
I just saw Madrid are putting like a release clause on Trent of like close to a billion or something, which is wild.
Wow, untouchable.
Yeah. But sorry, real quick on Trent also. I don't know if you saw Curtis Jones savagery. They were having their Premier League parade like on the bus, and a lot of fans and stuff were like kind of saying like Trent fake crying and stuff. Because in the last Liverpool game, he's like crying but like no tears. So they're like, this man's really just fake crying. And then in the parade celebration on the bus, Trent he was like crying again, and Curtis Jones was just like looking at him and like laughing and was like, "This fool," basically.
Yeah, it was very cringy.
It
With
was a bit, yeah.
even his message, like the video he did, it literally looked like he was like reading off a script.
It kind of did, yeah.
I was like, this is disgusting behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Pathetic. I'm excited for Frimpong though. I think like I don't know if you saw the interview with Very Esquela talking about the hardest defender he's played, and he
Mm-hmm.
said, "Can you guess who it was?"
He said it was Trent.
Yeah, he said it was Trent. Um, but he was talking about like how when he defends, he's the hardest defender, but it's just we've been talking about how Trent just kind of loses focus defensively, so he just gets caught out a lot. But when he's actually defending, like he's the hardest he's faced. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like Frimpong is gonna. He's obviously not as a good of a defender as Trent, but I think overall he is in terms of like that desire. Like he's not gonna let Doku get past him 15 times in a game. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
he's gonna put in effort, unlike Trent defensively, and he's not gonna just give up challenges. So,
Yeah.
um, and then also with Madrid, it sounds like Dean Huijsen might be going there.
Yeah, it's confirmed. I didn't
Confirmed.
realize that was like his that's like his boyhood like club that he grew up supporting. Because he had like an Instagram pic where he had a Madrid top as a child, and he's like, "I'm coming home."
Yeah, it's hard to turn down when Madrid knocks on your door. And then Liverpool, they've had some pretty big Warts, I think, is linked. Negotiations are still going on. And then your boy out in the left side, Kirkez,
Ah, dude.
confirmed.
Yeah, that one's. I think Subasla had a little bit of help getting his Hungarian over. Um, and then I think City, they've been making some interesting moves. Um, they're trying to get Tijani Reinders, who I think will be a good fit for him. But then they're trying to go after your boy. I think they're gonna ruin him like they did Grealish, but Ryan Cherky.
Yeah, I really hope he doesn't go. And to your point, it's gonna ruin him because he's a street baller where you just let him do whatever and wander wherever he wants. It's where he thrives, and Pep is not gonna have that.
Yeah, that's exactly like Jack Grealish. He was basically just like that, like a street baller type, and kind of got ruined. So, but yeah, that's crazy. Just going after like a big name like Cherky. I feel like yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one because I think Chelsea were linked to him too.
Hmm.
Honestly,
And Gibbs White, he's still linked to City, and there's talks going on, and I think he would be a really good fit for City. Just in terms
Mm.
of defensively, he's good. Uh, Tracks back and creates a lot of pretty good chances too. So he'd be
Yeah.
ideal for like the Pep role. Uh,
hmm And also, while we touch on Forest and wrapping up on the season, congrats to Forest finally back in Europe, Conference League. But that behavior by their owner, disgusting.
Coming onto the field after
Yeah,
yeah, that's not professional at all. Um, but I can't really think of any other big transfer news.
yeah, I can't either. At least in the Prem.
And then you saw where who the new coach of Southampton is, right? I guess we can move on to coaches.
Mm-mm.
Will Still,
Oh no way!
yeah.
Oh, that's hype. Okay, that's hype.
Um, he's there. I think I don't know if we talked about Ten Hag, but he's officially at Leverkusen.
You
Um,
see which two players he wants to
mm-mm.
sign? He wants Anthony and Garnacho. Yo, if we get money
Oh,
back for Anthony,
dude, y'all money laundering over there?
yo, if we end up selling Anthony for like half the price of what we got him for, that's gonna be crazy. Fans are gonna be outraged.
I mean, his stocks are up with Betis. Um,
hmm
and I guess we didn't say, but like it was basically confirmed. But Xabi Alonso now is officially at Madrid.
Yeah.
Um, and then Sergio Conceição is leaving Milan. I don't know who's going to replace him, but
Oh, it's you didn't see who signed?
no.
Traitor Allegri.
Oh, snap. Is
hmm
Thiago Motta still at Juve then?
No, they had that Igor dude come in like towards the end of the year.
That's right.
Um,
Yeah. Um, and then Roma, it sounds like there might be some drama there.
oh yeah,
Gasparini to Roma with that project.
that's an odd one. Yeah, I thought it was gonna be the other way where Gasparini kind of just stays with Atalanta all along. Lookman kind of leaves, but Lookman I guess might stay now that he's
Y-
gone.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Did you see the other drama? Another snake in the grass.
Mm-mm.
Um, the Liverpool assistant, that Pep Linders dude. You remember him?
Yeah. He was Klopp's right hand man, right?
Yeah. You see where he's at now? Whose right
No.
hand man he is? Pep Guardiola's right hand man.
Ooh, drama heating
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, drama. Love to see it.
Um, yeah, I can't think of any other managers. And then players also, I think Chiesa is going to be gone, and Napoli are heavily linked to him. So a return back to Italy.
Oh, speaking of Napoli, De Bruyne. Um,
Ooh, yeah, yeah. Can't forget that one.
hmm um, yeah, I think that's um, all the transfers I can think of.
And I think Newcastle with Embuemo is another one that I've been seeing.
Who would you go if you were in Emblemo, Newcastle or United?
Oh, Newcastle for
I feel
sure.
like Newcastle no brainer, right?
Yeah, especially with Champions League.
hmm Yeah, I think so. It's a good pool. Um, I think we can wrap this up. I know the season's pretty much at an end, but I'm sure episodes going forward, we can touch on more transfers. But
And we can
as
also
always,
we can
mhm.
probably also just cover like what our predictions were coming into the season, recap how that went, and then maybe also like we can we'll probably create like some episodes we're thinking about like doing kind of players of the season for each league and stuff like that.
Mm,
So we have stuff to talk about even in the off
off
season.
season, yeah. But with that, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for hanging out with us again. We'll be back next time to talk more footy, highlight some maybe uh, super transfers
I like
as they go
that.
along, and drop more takes hotter than a derby day. If you've enjoyed the chat, make sure to subscribe, drop us a rating, and share the pod with friends and family. But until then, keep the football chatter alive, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.
Peace.